Finally, I want to walk you through an example using Lord of the Rings. So hopefully you've all seen the movies or read the books to know this. But this is what I'm going to ask you to do orally during the oral final exam next week. I've already told you that I'm going to ask you to look at Clara's hero's journey in the name of the Doctor. And so you need to be thinking along these 12 stages of what is the ordinary world. For Frodo Baggins, he's at home in the Shire, everything's safe. Then he has a call to adventure, where the ring comes into play and someone's going to need to carry it back to be destroyed. He refuses that. He doesn't want to be a part of it. He's perplexed by the journey. He would rather just stay in the Shire and not have any adventures. Then he meets a mentor. He has Gandalf, but he also has Strider, who is going to mentor him along the way. Crosses the threshold. And again, you can break it down into each of the movies or stories, but I'm looking at the bigger picture that once the Fellowship breaks up at the end of the first movie, that's really his threshold, because up until that point, he could have returned and said, someone else has to do this, I can't. But once the Fellowship has broken, then he has to do it, and he has to do it on his own. And he realizes that. So that's where he has crossed the threshold. He then has different fights. He fights with the Fellowship. He has trust with his companion. He has allies. He has people he's fighting against, Gollum, the orcs, etc. So he goes through that stage of being tested. The approach to the Endmost Cave, this is where he starts to change internally. That the ring is manipulating his mood, his body, and he wants the power, and he has to fight that internally. It's not an outward fight, it's an internal fight, struggling with his conscience, with the way that the ring is manipulating him. The ordeal, he's about to die when the elves nurse him back to health. And so he is able to continue on with his journey. At the end, he is healed. Once he has destroyed the ring, then he is wounded, he's taken back, and the elves heal him as much as they can. And now he has great acclaim, great respect for having saved all of Middle Earth. And, he has... that is his reward. It's not a tangible reward, but it is the acclaim and respect. And the road back, he's going to return home, but there's still going to be some problems. He has a wound that won't quite heal, so he must decide to either to stay or to go away permanently and separate himself from his friends. And this is where he does decide to leave. The return with the elixir here is that in leaving, he has now opened up the world to start differently, and he inaugurates the Age of Men coming into play when he leaves with all of the elves. So throughout the entire cycle of the Lord of the Rings, we see some big changes, and again, all of these 12 could be put into each of the 3 films if you wanted to, or in this broader picture. And what I'm going to ask you to do next week is just briefly walk me through how Clara deals with these different steps. Some of them may be actually outward, her physically moving somewhere. Some of them may be internal. So I want you to think about, how does Clara fit in with the 12 steps? And what you really should be focusing on, and I will put this up on Blackboard, these 2 slides, the outer journey and the inner journey. So really think about, what is the ordinary world for Clara? What is her call to adventure? What is her refusal? What is meeting of the mentor? When does she cross the threshold? Who are the test enemies, allies? What is her approach? What is her ordeal, death and rebirth? What is her reward? Road back, resurrection, return of elixir. And then again, thinking in terms of, is she aware of the problem, increased awareness, fear, overcoming fear, committing to change, etc. So these 2 are the ones that you're really going to look at when dealing with Clara in this episode.